And the issue now is, so how do we hook up what HR is doing to the value proposition? And I want to center today on people equity, because this is a concept that we really initiated a few years ago because we were frustrated thinking about kind of the traditional models out here, that everyone's interested in their shareholder equity, ultimately customer equity. How do we drive the customer? And we know from a lot of research that if customer equity goes up, customer perceived value, that our business does well. Okay, so we sat back and scratched our heads. That's when I had hair. Now the hair's gone from all scratching. We said, why isn't there a people equity equivalent? Because we'd go out and talk about human capital, and people would say, we have to conserve capital. We got to conserve that human capital. We got to make sure we reduce that, keep that at the minimum, right? We kind of looked at it and say, why aren't we investing? We invest in customers. We invest in our products. How do we invest in people in a way that's viewed in the same way as those other kinds of investments? So people equity is what we ended up calling the concept, and it was published in a number of publications in the last few years and talked about in the new book. But we found through the research that organizations with high people equity retain top performers to a much greater extent. They have better customer satisfaction. They have higher productivity. All good things that are payoffs for the organization. And where HR fits in is HR in its systems, tools, and knowledge has a strong impact on the drivers, on the people drivers of people equity. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what people equity is, but you'll see in a second how that kind of comes to life, because there's so many tools that you have and things that you can bring that drives that people equity up. And the important point here is the COOs, the owners of the businesses, CFOs, they're thinking about the top up there. They want to know, if we're investing things in training, programs, whatever in the yellow, tell me what that's doing for me up here in the green in my shareholder equity. That's really what they want to know. And we've got to be able to go back and say, here's the line of sight. If we do these things, we expect these things over here, customers, productivity to go up. And that brings more shareholder value.
Well, first of all, I think Bill Schiemann is such a terrific speaker because he really relates so well with the audience, and he uses a lot of analogies and humor, so he really engages the audience right up front. And I also know that by the time everyone left, we all understood the value of people equity and the importance of human resources managing and measuring the human equity.
Today was particularly impactful for me. What I liked about Bill's talk was I like the concept of the ACE concept, the alignment, capabilities, and engagement. But particularly today, I had an aha moment because I realized that one of our HR drivers in selection is not aligned with what we espouse, and what we actually do isn't aligned. So, and at the end he said, what are you going to do differently when you go back? I'm going to go back to my CEO and say, we have a problem. we need to make a decision about what we're looking for in our talent to ensure that they have the capabilities in our recruitment. So yeah, so I enjoyed it very much.